Hello dear students, welcome to this class of BA Part First English Literature. I am Dr.S.S.Vaidwan, Department of English, and dear students, today we'll talk about the novel by George Orwell, Animal Farm. And today we'll discuss some of the major events that shaped the plot of the novel and they carry forward the action. So let us first of all discuss an important event, and this important event is Old Major's speech. As you all know, Orwell's novel Animal Farm is a political satire. It is a satire on revolutions in general and on the Russian Revolution of 1917 in particular. Because all these revolutions failed their purpose. For the purpose which they were initiated, they failed to achieve their purpose, although they played the important role in upheaval of the established monarchy. The Russian Revolution, dear students, it was inspired by the ideas of German thinker Karl Marx. Marx wanted to bring out a change in the social, political and economic conditions of the common people. Political conditions of Russia under the then ruler Tsar were very bad. He was an autocrat who did not give any political rights to the common man. Their economic condition was still worse. They were socially and economically exploited, and under these conditions, Lenin started a revolt against the Tsar in 1917. The Tsar was overthrown and Communist Party came into power. So Russia became a communist nation. This revolution promised a society based on the principles of equality and liberty. But after the death of Lenin, these promises were not fulfilled. So his ideas of making Russia great failed. A conflict for power took place between Stalin and Trotsky, and Stalin became a despotic ruler. He exploited the Russian public in the same way as was being done by the Tsar. There was no difference between him and the Tsar. So this is the basic background of the Russian Revolution and how George Orwell has presented the bitter realities of the Russian Revolution, which shattered the dreams and hopes of the common man through this novel Animal Farm. Orwell's Animal Farm, as I told you, is a satire. It's a political satire, and Orwell in this novel presents a picture of disillusionment that the people of Russia faced after the Russian Revolution of 1917 and after the death of Lenin. In this particular novel, dear students, Orwell uses the technique of allegory to express his ideas. In this novel, he uses animals to represent different political personalities. So, the different political personalities, they are represented by different animals. And one of the animals on the farm is an old, majestic looking pig, and he is called Old Major. So this Old Major, he played a very crucial role in bringing out the revolution on the manor farm. He is the oldest boar and he is the only animal who knows the bad condition of the animals very well. He is very worried about the welfare of the animals, and in this respect, he represents Karl Marx and Lenin. It so happened that one night, Old Major has a dream in which he sees visions of a better future for animals. Next day, he recalls the dream, and then he asks all the animals to listen to his dream, and he asks them to assemble at the meeting. meeting on the farm to tell them about his dream. Animals, they respected him because of his old age, and so all the animals, they came to attend the meeting, as was done by Lenin. And now old Major, who represents Lenin, so all animals on the farm, they respected him and they came to attend the meeting. Old Major addresses the animals and tries to make them aware of the poor condition through his speech, and he narrates his dream and he makes an excellent speech. In his speech, old Major says that Mr. Jones, the owner of the manor farm, enjoys himself at the cost of the hard work of animals. He himself does not do any work, but he makes the animals work very hard from morning till evening. So, Mr. Jones here represents Tsar, and the animals, they represent the common people. He gives them minimum food so that they do not die and make them work hard. Thus, he lives of the animals, the lives of the animals on the farm, they are very miserable. They remained hungry, they had no happiness or any freedom. In fact, they were like slaves. He says, old Major, he says that Mr. Jones is so cruel that he doesn't allow the hen to keep even one egg for herself or for her children, though it lays hundreds of eggs every day. And similarly, the cow is not allowed to drink any milk for itself or for its calf. Mr. Jones is thus responsible for all the troubles of the animals. Man is their real enemy. He says, old Major says that man is their real enemy. If he is removed, the root cause of their problems would be gone. So this is what old Major desired. Old Major points out that Jones, he killed animals when they become old and weak, that is, when they are useless, when they are not able to do any work. The tyranny of human beings was thus responsible for all the evils in their life. He says that we, the animals, we are not responsible for our miserable condition, but it is the cruelty of Mr. Jones, men, that we are living in such a miserable condition, and hence we should revolt against the human beings. Hence, he says that animals should rebel against human beings in order to save themselves from the exploitation. Old Major says that animals should consider everyone that goes on two legs. Remember, students, that everyone that goes on two legs is an enemy, and all that goes on four legs or have wings is a friend. He also says that the guidelines for the day, for the behavior of the animals, he lays down some guidelines. He says that all the animals must become one to fight man. These guidelines become the 7 commandments of animalism later on. Later on, when old Major, he had already died, and the 7 commandments are written over the wall. So these guidelines of Mr. Old Major, they become the commandments of animalism later on. Finally, old Major, he sings an old song which he had known since his childhood and which came back to him in his dream. The song is called Beasts of England, and he asked them to unite, which later on becomes the anthem of the animal farm. Other animals pick up the tune of this song and they join Major in singing the song. So they all started singing this song. Later on, when old Major, he dies, animals who are inspired by his speech and this song, Beasts of England, they unite, they rebel and throw Mr. Jones out and become the masters of the farm. So old Major, here he represents Karl Marx, the German philosopher, who taught that working classes were exploited by the capitalists, and so they should revolt against their masters. They should take control of all the means of production in their own hands, and they should divide the profit amongst themselves. Thus, they would create a society where everyone would be equal, and that is why the animals, when they carved out these 7 commandments, they said all animals are equal. They would have equal opportunities and they would not exploit each other. Thus, the speech of Old Major is an inspiration for the animals. And these animals and these guidelines which Old Major narrated to them, they followed them, they united, they rebelled, and they overthrew Mr. Jones, and they drove out Mr. Jones out of the animal farm. So this is, dear students, the important event in the novel Animal Farm. This speech of Old Major is very inspiring, and all the animals, they unite and they rebel. I hope you have understood this speech. Dear students, in the next video, we'll deal with another important aspect of the novel Animal Farm by George Orwell. Thank you very much.